In this episode of The Design Tourist, I travel to Mendocino County in Northern California to explore wineries, waves, and redwoods. Mendocino County has 90 miles of Pacific coastline, more than 90 wineries, and 24 state national parks. It's the ideal destination for wine lovers, foodies, and eco-travelers. Known as the Redwood Corridor, Mendocino County resides between Scenic's Highway 1 and Highway 10. To get there, I flew into the San Francisco airport, and I rented a car to make the scenic 3.5-hour drive north along Highway 128, winding through pastures, vineyards, and orchards. Known as America's greenest wine region, Mendocino County has the highest percentage of organic and biodynamic vineyards in the United States. It's also home to 12 American viticultural areas. These are grape-growing regions with distinguished geographic and climatic features that produce a specific type of appellation of origin used on wine labels. As a wine lover, I was looking for some alternatives to the popular Napa and Sonoma County wine-producing regions, which led me here to Anderson Valley. This area is known for producing quality Pinot Noirs because of its unique microclimate. I'm here at Lula Cellars. It is a boutique winery, and I could not have picked a more perfect time to visit because their Pinot Noir grapes are in all its glory, full bloom, and just days away from being picked, being harvested to go on to the winemaking process. So we are going to taste some of their Pinot Noirs and learn about their story. Lula Vineyards resides in the deep end of Anderson Valley. The boutique winery benefits from the cool climate of the Pacific Ocean breezes and produces 4,500 to 5,000 cases a year. I set out on a tour of the vineyards with the general manager, Chris Lanier.
We have 15 acres of planted grapes, 14 are Pinot Noir, 1 acre of Gewürztraminer on our property.
And the property was purchased in 2012.
2012, right. We started planting grapes and rescuing the rescue block here in 2013.
The rescue block refers to grapes grown from the vineyard's original 1,000 vines discovered in 2012, the only viable vines that was in the fallow soil.
So we have a Pinot Noir called Rescue Block that we only sell to our wine club members that comes from this block right here. Usually make about maybe 150 cases or so of this wine from here. We grow about half of the grapes that we make all our wines from, and the rest of them we buy from other vineyards in the Anderson Valley or in Mendocino County.
Anderson Valley is known for cultivating top-shelf Pinot Noir and sparkling, dry Alsatian-style wines.
So all around California, there are all these little microclimates. That is why there's such great things. So here, this valley is fantastic for growing Pinot Noir. Napa Sonoma, great for Cabernet and Merlot. And so it's just, the magic of Mother Nature is why Pinot Noir, flourishes here.
On the day I visited, the grapes were ripe and ready for picking.
In 10 days, all this will be done, and we'll have, we'll pick about 45 tons of grapes off here.
And is this hand-picked or machine-picked?
All hand-picked here. They'll start picking 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they got big lights on the tractors because they want to pick when it's cool.
Right.
And so we put them in, and then we truck them out first thing in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and we process all our grapes. We have a big custom crush facility in Santa Rosa.
Okay.
So we send all our grapes. That's where the winemaker does all I'll call the mad scientist work on the grapes.
By mid-September, Lula Cellars finishes picking its grapes. Replanting of the vines begins in November, with wines bottled and ready to consume in July. Now, after getting the lay of the land, I joined Dan Reed, the tasting room manager, for an al fresco wine tasting.
I'm going to start you out with this is one of my favorite wines, my favorite varietals. This is a bone-dry Gewürztraminer.
Gewürztraminer, that is a mouthful.
Well, it's perfectly acceptable to call it Gewürz. Everybody knows what you're talking about. But that said, Gewürz means spicy, and Traminer means either fluid or wine. So Gewürztraminer is a spicy wine.
During the 1970s, Anderson Valley evolved from apple orchards, timber logging, and sheep farming to growing grapes. In particular, an Alsatian version. It's a white wine with spicy citrus, stone notes, and floral aromas. It's very dry, and there's a hint of spice to it. I love it.
Yeah. And we've taken great effort to make sure that year after year after year, we've had the most little sugar, the least residual sugar in our production, which makes us we think it's just wonderful. I know that this year we again have the lowest residual sugar of all the opportunities in the valley here, which is our hallmark. And so it's really a very, very food-friendly wine, which we enjoy immensely.
Next, I tasted Pinot Noir, a salmon pink wine with hints of rose petals and red berry fruits with a crisp and clean finish.
Old wines, when they're crushed, it doesn't matter if they're Cabernet or Chardonnay, they all come out white. And you get color by taking the fluid you created and putting that back over the stems and the skins and the berries to create color. We're all guilty of looking at a wine like this and saying, well, there's not much color there. There can't be much there. Right. And that's a flaw because this has great acidity, very, very food-friendly.
Very food-friendly.
And it's nice and crisp.
Next, I taste two $50 bottles of wine, Costa and Peterson. The grapes come from two vineyards less than a mile apart, both earning high marks, but with distinct flavors from the earth. Costa tastes organic, while Peterson has a mineral finish.
So this one went down perhaps 88 feet and found trees, branches, leaves, mushrooms, organic matter. This one, less than a mile away, went down maybe 80 feet because it's a 20-year-old vineyard and found white rock and granite, minerally and edgy.
Lula Cellars is one of 100 wineries in Anderson Valley, with 40 or so open to the public with tasting rooms. Next, we continue our tour of Anderson Valley with a visit to Fathers and Daughters Cellars for an intimate, authentic wine tasting experience atop a bluff. Ferrington Vineyards grows grapes to make wines by fathers and daughters. It's a micro winery that produces about 750 cases a year. The vineyard spans 78 acres and grows Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Alsatian varietals. Hi.
Hi, Karen.
You must be Guy.
I'm Guy.
Nice to meet you. And this
Cotton.
is Cotton.
This is Cotton.
Hi,
Cotton down.
Nice to meet you.
This is my wife, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Down, Cotton.
Cotton's
down.
excited. How are you? I'm going to shake your hand, too.
Welcome to Fathers and Daughters Cellars.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We're here at the Ferrington Vineyard in Anderson Valley, California. And our little label we started about 10 years ago now. When our youngest daughter, Ella, was born. And we've kind of grown a little bit since then.
So I like your hospitality already. I mean,
well,
cheers to this.
Cheers.
These are Sarah's Rustic Bubbles.
Sarah's Rustic Bubbles.
And
all right, tell me about this.
She's our bubble fan, and she, we wanted to make a rustic sparkling wine, and we talked to our winemaker. We had tried one down in Marin County that we really liked a lot, and we said, "Can we do this?" And he said, "Well, sure, we can do this." So we picked our first vintage, and ever since then, it's the most difficult wine he makes. It's an old style of making a rustic sparkling, and what they do is they press it, bottle it, and cap it, and they don't disgorge it, and they don't add any dosage. So he has to capture the wine at just the right minute before it's capped. And so that's the challenge.
Well,
it's all Chardonnay.
It tastes divine.
Cheers. And it drinks between a cider and a sparkling.
Yes.
It's just a really casual sparkling wine.
I like it. It's light. This is a great day drinking wine.
One of the winemakers in the valley calls it fresh squeezed champagne.
I like that analogy a lot. So tell me what we're going to do.
What we're going to do is, so the vineyard here is 160 acres, about 80 under vine. what we'll do is we'll take the, we call it a mule, the ATV through the vineyard and up the hill to the top of the vineyard where we got married, and we'll try some of our wines.
The vineyard resides high on the Mendocino Ridge with a panoramic view of the valley. Guy and his wife founded the winery with its signature grape, Pinot Noir, bottled as Ella's Reserve.
We're lucky. Our first vintage, we wanted to find a winemaker that was known for making Pinots you could lay down, because we're hoping that Ella would be able to drink the first vintage when she's old enough. And the winemaker that's kind of known for that in the area is Phil Baxter. So he took us on, and turned out to be just a really serendipitous meeting.
All right, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret if you are looking for an authentic wine tasting. Father and daughter Cellars, they actually take you up to a Blufftop on their property where they have a picnic spread and wine tastings. And this is such a magical, immersive way to experience the vineyard and their wines. So Guy, what did you just pour us?
This is our 2015 Chardonnay. And what's nice about this is all of our wines are made so you can lay them down. Most whites are not made that way for the most part. So it's kind of nice that we ended up with this by mistake today. I meant to bring the 2020, but with the 2015 you can see how they age.
Lucky for us.
Cheers.
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 Oops.
Every year we'll do the Pinot, we do a Sauvignon Blanc, a Chardonnay, and a Pet Nat or Pétillant Natural. It's a rustic sparkling. And then we also weave into there a rosé and a white blend in other years. And we also do a Pinot from a different vineyard outside of Ferrington each year.
We snack on a spread of Spanish tapas catered by Disco Ranch in nearby Boonville.
So all of our whites are made in stainless steel and neutral oak, so you don't get the heavy buttery oak on the Chardonnay that you do in some wines.
Okay. So I have so many questions, but the first most obvious question is, why hold your wine tastings up here on the bluff? What's your philosophy behind this?
Well, for me, we've done a lot of tastings, and the ones that really stick with us or that resonate are the ones that they do out in the vineyard, because you get a feel for where the wine comes from, and every time you open a bottle of wine from that winery, you'll remember where it came from. And I think that this is a setting that's tough to beat.
This is mesmerizing, and you really get a sense of the land and the lay of the land and your property. So with this bird's eye view, kind of give me the lay of the land.
So this is, the valley goes from southeast to northwest. This is the warmer end of the valley, and the one out to the south, to the northwest is the deep end of the valley. Traditionally, the Anderson Valley ripens from one end of the valley to the other.
Oh.
In Ferrington, the vineyard that we're at is usually the first to ripen, and is kind of the bellwether for the rest of the valley. And harvest starts usually when Ferrington is ripe, most of the time. So we don't publicize our tastings, but we do them if anybody wants to reach out to us and let us know. We generally need at least a week's notice, because we need to make sure we have everything set for the tasting. We don't do mass tastings, so each one is kind of a small, not curated, but a very small experience for the people coming up. And it's been great for us, and we hope we don't ever have to change that, because we get to know the people that taste.
It's a very intimate, authentic experience for sure. The passion this couple shares for winemaking is a way of life closely connected to the land. Wine lovers looking for a casual vibe and an intimate experience with the land are drawn to Anderson Valley. Cannabis is evolving as another major draw. They say what Napa was to wine, Mendocino is to California cannabis, with 290 acres of licensed cultivation. The area resides in Northern California's legendary Emerald Triangle, and it's coupled with Trinity and Humboldt counties. Together, all of it represents the largest cannabis-producing region in the United States, because of its ideal microclimates. Up next, we explore the nearby towns, each with distinct charms and attractions. So I took a side trip to the village of Mendocino. It's not too far from where we were, and it's an absolute must-see. It's so charming. The village of Mendocino is a National Historic Preservation District, and that is because of all of the architecture. It's filled with Victorian style and salt box style homes, populated with boutiques and restaurants, art galleries. In fact, there is a Mendocino Art Center here that was established in the 50s that made the area a big draw for artists. But the view is really what brings me here. I mean, look at this. Mendocino Village is set up on a peninsula surrounded by cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So I'm gonna shop and I'm gonna stroll and take in some local art as well. Next, I head to Fort Bragg, a 15-minute drive north of Mendocino. The former logging and fishing village attracts visitors for its rugged coastline trails and famous heritage train that runs through the Redwood forest. So continuing my experience up close with Mother Nature in Northern California, I am in Fort Bragg at the Skunk Train Railroad Depot. This is a heritage train, and it's been around since 1885. It's a beloved attraction here. But we're not going to actually ride the train. We are going to ride what's called rail bikes. These are two-person bikes that can be motorized or you can pedal them, and we ride these rail bikes on the tracks through the Redwood forest and through estuaries. So this is going to be a great way to get an up-close, intimate experience with Mother Nature. The Skunk Train Railroad in the late 1800s carried redwood logs to the Mendocino Coast sawmills and gets its name from the pungent smell the engines used to emit, a mix of gasoline and crude oil that smelled like a skunk. Today, the Skunk Train is a source of local pride, special events and themed rides throughout the year.
So 1885 was when a man named C.R. Johnson came to the coast area here and founded our railroad for logging operations, and logging operations only. The founder of our railroad at that time had the foresight to see that this would eventually be a passenger carrying railroad. So he insisted that the rails be standard gauge. And for most logging railroads, that is not normal. Most are narrow gauge rails, but ours are standard gauge because he knew that when we finally got to Willits, they could be connected with other rails, and we could go throughout the country by rail from the coast here.
We head out on our electric-powered rail bikes for a 7-mile round trip along some of the first tracks laid down by the California Western Railroad back when the railroad was founded in 1885. Our trip stops at Glen Blair Junction, 6.6 miles short of the former logging town of Glendale, or Glen Blair.
You see today, friends, these are California coastal redwoods. This particular type of tree is known to be the tallest living thing on Earth. Now, some people say they can grow up to 15 stories tall. Other people say 16, but that's a whole nother story. Now, get it? Now the bark on the outside of the tree is naturally fire resistant, but the interior is extremely flammable. Folks around here often use the interior wood of these trees to start fires at home for kindling.
Mendocino County has nearly 2,500 square miles. That's 523 acres of redwoods, the tallest and oldest living things on Earth. Some redwood trees tower more than 320 feet and live for more than 2,000 years. Along our route, we notice a large, charred, hollowed-out stump that early settlers burned and carved out to serve as an animal pen. Now, many of these huge redwood trees were logged more than 100 years ago, but they have an impressive ability to reproduce from just a stump. So we parked our rail bikes at a little depot along the way, and now I'm going to take about a mile hike through the redwoods with our guide, who is very knowledgeable and full of corny jokes. From 1852 to 1882, Mendocino served as the primary supplier of redwood lumber to booming California and continued as a main lumber source into the 1920s. Logging depleted much of the region's virgin redwood forest. The surviving 5% of the original old-growth redwood forest reside along California's central coast to southern Oregon. My trip to Mendocino County is about reconnecting with myself, pressing the reset button on my mind and body for clarity of heart and soul. I'm a big believer in energy, and the grounding energy of Mother Nature sends me home with a better sense of life balance and a renewed vitality. So I say goodbye to my visit along the Mendocino coast of Northern California, here in the winemaking region of Anderson Valley. Until the Design Tourist travels again, stay curious and stay inspired.